High above the jungle canopy, hidden among the trees, the Maya built temples that reach for the sky and count the days. More than 1,000 years ago, the Maya people were masters of astronomy. They carefully recorded the movements of the planets and stars, and then incorporated their findings into buildings like this temple at Tikal. This is Temple 1 at Tikal. It's over 200 feet tall. Built around 750 AD, it would have been the tallest structure in the ancient Maya world. But it's not what you think. Most people see Tikal as an ordinary pyramid, but if you look closely, you realize that there are staircases on all four sides, and the numbers on those staircases tell the story of time. When the Spanish arrived, they tried to erase the Maya way of life, burning their books and killing anyone who knew how to read them. So we don't know exactly why the Maya built these temples or what they believed about the universe. But scientists can still analyze their buildings and count the steps. El Castillo, the Great Pyramid at Chichen Itza, wasn't just beautiful, it was precise. It had 91 steps on each side. Add them up, and with the top platform, you get 365, one step for every day of the year. But it gets better. Twice a year, the shadow of the setting sun slithers down the pyramid and disappears at the bottom step. For the Maya, it was the shape of a serpent. They believed it was Kukulkan, the feathered god returning from the sky to watch over his people. About 100 miles away at Azmol, the Maya watched another bright light in the sky. The morning star, which happens to be Venus. Their temples were perfectly aligned to its cycle, 584 days long. When Venus passed between the earth and the sun, the Maya celebrated. They built the Pyramid of the Magician, a temple perfectly aligned to Venus's cycle, 584 days long. It has 9 terraces, each divided into 64 steps, totaling 584. Again, the numbers tell the story of time. They didn't use metal, no machines, just ropes to measure angles and sacred math to build these structures. But how did they measure stars, and how did they make them out of stone? At Uzmal, archaeologists found a marble disc. Its centers weren't smooth because something turned on it, maybe a rope. Then they found more discs aligned to cardinal directions, north, east, south, and west. Then they found more discs buried under a stairway, right here, buried beneath the earth. These alignments suggest that the ancient Maya were building a giant compass. By measuring Venus, they calculated its rising and setting points, its farthest east and west positions, and used that to align major structures across the landscape. Astronomers use the same methods today, but back then, without machines, it required patience and skill. Now, imagine you're standing at the base of one of these pyramids, watching the shadow of the planet Venus climb up its steep sides. How could such a small civilization track the paths of planets across the cosmos? It took generations of careful observation, but to answer that question, we went to the mountains of Guatemala to see something incredible. These are the towering pyramids of Cholula, standing 147 feet high, half buried by the earth. Archaeologists believe this is the oldest pyramid in Mesoamerica. It's more than 3,000 years old. They use ropes to measure angles and keep track of the path of Venus across the sky. From the base of the pyramid, we walked to the top, climbing the stairs and counting the landings. Each landing was aligned to the cardinal directions, but there were also 2 more, halfway between north and northeast, southeast and south, southwest and west, northwest and north. Those angles matched the path of Venus when it reached its greatest eastern and western extents. They built a stairway to the sky to track the stars. Then we looked at the numbers carved into the risers of the stairs. There were 7 groups of 3 numbers each. We added them all up and got 365, the number of days in a solar year. How did they know there were only 7 groups of 3 numbers? How did they know how many steps to carve? The Maya had a special system of sacred math. Here's how it worked. Imagine taking any number and multiplying it by itself. You get a square. If you multiply that result by itself, you get a cube. The Maya used these relationships to help them calculate angles and build their temples. For example, if you wanted to construct a pyramid with a flat top and 4 equal sides, you could start with a cube. Each side of the cube would represent the height and the length of each side of the base. And if you wanted a pyramid with 5 sides, you could start with a square and then add the square root of 5 to each side. Voila, 5 sides. The Maya learned these principles from studying the patterns in nature, like the spirals of seashells or the seeds in a pineapple. These natural patterns revealed the numbers embedded in the universe. And after centuries of studying the sky, they built these temples to show what they learned. But how did they turn their knowledge of the cosmos into stone? Back at Chichen Itza, archaeologists found a stairway leading to a secret chamber. Inside, they found a box filled with human bones. Above the entrance, someone carved the date, 18 rabbits. For the Maya, each glyph represented a day in the calendar. So this chamber was dedicated to the day, the 18th day of the rabbit, February 24th, 987. But there was more to this room than a calendar date. If you count the steps going up and then coming back down, you end up at this landing. Then you walk forward past 2 jaguars guarding the doorway and count the steps again. Going up and down 268 steps. What does that mean? Well, if you add those steps to the 365 steps in El Castillo, you get 633 steps. And if you add the 18 steps of the stairway, you get 651. What's the significance of that? Well, the Maya kept a sacred count of everything. They counted the days on their stairways. They even counted the gods. For the Maya, everything was related. All things were connected in a great web. So every number, every angle, every direction was significant. But no one knows exactly what it means. We just know that they created these sacred geometries as a gift to the gods. In the center of the Yucatan Peninsula, deep in the jungle, there's a place where the earth meets the sky. It's called El Pilar. Here, sunlight streams through the trees and illuminates. A staircase half swallowed by vines and centuries of erosion. The Mayans built their temples to last forever, but they haven't. Only a few remain. But in the most unexpected places, the Maya left behind a legacy that lives on. If you stand at the center of Chichen Itza and walk 125 feet north, then 201 feet east, then 125 feet south, then 201 feet west, you end up right here, in the middle of a parking lot. 4 corners of the earth converge at this spot, making it a sacred center for the Maya. It's hard to imagine now, but the Maya city of Chichen Itza was once a bustling metropolis. People came from all over Mesoamerica to learn about the stars and the calendar. And when the Spanish arrived, they loved how well the city was designed. It reminded them of their own cities back home. So they incorporated it into their plans. built new roads and churches, and even a cathedral on top of the pyramid of the feathered serpent. But if you look closely at the cathedral, you'll see that the road cuts right through the center of the pyramid, destroying the sacred geometry of the land. Even though the Maya people are gone, the story isn't over. Archaeologists are still searching for their lost cities. They found clues carved in stone, maps left behind by ancient lords, and even the bones of sacrificed kings. And as they piece together the history of the Maya, they're discovering something else, a glimpse of how the Maya saw the universe. Because to the Maya, the universe wasn't just above them, it lived inside the stone itself. This is a place where the earth meets the sky. It's called Alpilar. The temples of the Maya are counting the days, and the story isn't over yet.